A warm welcome to studio room number 2. My name is Jonathan Morley, and I'm very, very pleased to introduce you to Anderson.
Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Okay. I'm so happy to be here for a number of reasons. I think that the main reason is that I see here on the crowd many familiar faces, many people that I know for a long time, and they're here as well to listen to me. Some folks from my country as well. Thank you so much for your support. I'm so glad to be here and present this content that I've been thinking about that for a long time. When I started FinOps and I read the definition, it says that FinOps is supposed to deliver value, but we see costs all over the place. And I was like, okay, how can we do that? Just recently, I was on the Chalk Talk yesterday, right? My friend is there. I felt, very well because nobody knows exactly how to determine value, unit economics, and all of these things. So I've been thinking on this challenge for a long time, and hopefully at the end of this presentation, I will give you an introduction on how to solve this problem. How can we, in general, in the FinOps community, can measure value in an effective way, and more than that, in a way that we can compare with each other, benchmarking. I'm Anderson Oliveira. I'm a consultant from Timestamp, located in AXA Global Solutions. And a little bit of a disclaimer that I need to do. Everything I will say here are my opinions that don't necessarily commute with the opinions of my employers, okay? Okay, so let's keep going. Is it possible to have one simple KPI, just one, that has in it both business value and budget adherence? I've been in this FinOps community. I like to participate and contribute. I've been there for a long time. And, everything that we do is related to business value. But my personal opinion is that the community as a whole is too much focused in cost savings. And maybe this is a reflection of the maturity of the community as a whole, okay? Because if you look on the back of your hat that we're getting, FinOps was established in 2019. So it's a pretty recent, new discipline. So maybe we're just giving the first steps on this discipline. But I'm sure that there are other companies in here that are in this journey since then and probably have already harvested the low-hanging fruits. And now you need to put much more effort to get some savings compared to what you were used to do before. All right? And if you sell FinOps internally because of the savings, probably you're going through a hard time now because there's not too much savings to do. So it's really based on value, and this is something that we as a community needs to start looking at, starting giving the first steps to, as soon as the low-hanging fruit season is over, we are able to demonstrate the value that we are delivering. So let's put a little bit of a context what I'm talking about. Here is the FinOps persona. We have us there on the middle, the FinOps practitioners. Probably there are other personas presented in here as well. Because FinOps is done by everybody, we have the allied personas and so on and so forth. But I want to address specifically the leadership, all right? The directors, CEOs, CTOs, CFOs, senior leaders in general. We must remember that they are part of FinOps as well. But unfortunately, very little has been produced to address this audience. And everybody here may agree with me, maybe not, that they are the main force that drives the company that we work for. They are the leaders. Their job is to lead, to provide the direction. But at the same time, leadership are busy people. They need to be jungle with many balls on the air or many priorities. And for them, information is gold. They need information in order to make informed decisions. So let's not forget about the product team as well. The product manager is kind of on the same position here. Let's say they need to judge what are the priorities inside their backlog. What are the features that are delivering more value compared to the cost they are having? So value becomes really the cornerstone that makes the informed decision to the management. Now, if nobody agrees of what value really means, we don't have something to base our decisions. Still in the context, okay? The framework, the KPI that I'm about to present to you guys today, and hopefully you agree with me, is within the framework on the capability called quantify business value, on the domain, sorry. And this KPI will need everything that you've got on planning, on forecasting, on budgeting, on benchmarking, and unit economics. So with that said, let's stop a little bit and think about indicators. What is an indicator? An indicator, in my opinion, is a simplification of the reality. It's simple to read, and it's used to direct decisions. Everybody here uses indexes. For example, inflation index, the NASDAQ index, S&P 500. You know, think about that. You just get one number. Regardless of what that is, it's just one number. But are you able to understand or to think that inside this number, there is lots of knowledge, lots of techniques, and also being provided by an organization that you can trust that the number that is being produced is following a certain procedure and can be repeated and can be checked, all right? So that when you get this number, this is it. For example, inflation, you have one number for one country. That's okay, but in reality, inflation can be different in a state, in a neighborhood, all right? Same thing as the other indexes, like the weather forecast. What is the forecast for today? All right, it's rain, temperature, it's just one number, but the amount of complexity that is behind that is unbelievable. EBITDA and return over investment, those are examples of indexes. And that's how we should treat indexes. They are not the truth. They are a simplification of the reality so that you can make decisions based on that. That gonna be right decision? Is it, for sure you're gonna take right decisions based on that? That's where the art comes, okay? The techniques finishes on the moment that we generate the index, and then the art comes, what you're gonna be doing with that. So with that said, can we have a FinOps indicator that encompasses business value and budget adherence? That's what I'm here for. And I want to introduce to you the Cost Performance Indicator, or CPI. The CPI helps organizations assess whether their cloud spending aligns with the value delivered. It will be simple as that. CPI equal 1, you're delivering the value you're expecting. Above 1, you're delivering more value than you were expecting. Below 1, less than what you were expecting. Just simple like that. Inflation positive, good or bad? Inflation negative, good or bad? Everybody will say, well, it depends, right? Here's the same thing. Maybe below 1 is not necessarily bad, and above 1 is not necessarily good. So, but this is what it means, how you interpret. If you get to your CTO or CEO, your senior leadership, you just explain like this. And then he said, how do you calculate that? I will show you how to do that, but you don't necessarily need to show you that, all right? They just need to trust you that you're doing the right thing. So let's understand the CPI. Where does that come from? I didn't invent that. CPI is a cost performance indicator. It's an earned value management. Earned value management is a project management methodology for objectively measuring project performance and progress, and for forecasting project outcome. I'm sure that there are many project managers, colleagues in here in the room. You must have heard about CPI before. And when we are taking Project 101, they say to us, okay, what is the difference between process or operations and project? And they say, oh, because one is time boxed, the other is continuous. Okay, so how dare you want to put CPI in an operation? Okay, I will get there. But before that, a little bit more of a context. Earned value is there for a long time. It was invented by the Department of Defense in the 60s, and this has been mandatory technique for managing projects since then. This technique is being used for many organizations like the Department of Defense that I said, NASA, the Ministry of Defense from UK, the Project Management Institute, and many other organizations uses this same technique. And this technique, compared to what we have in FinOps, it has as an input the planning and estimating, the budgeting and the unit economics, and the output of that going to be the benchmarking and forecasting. So with this technique, you are able to put all of this together and generate one happy output. The earned value management is there to answer basically 3 questions. Where have we been? So what happened in the past? Where are we now? And where are we going? It's not a prediction, all right? It's just saying, like, if we continue on the same pace, where are we going to land? And that's where you make the decision, that point in time. Based on this, this is where we're going to land. Do you want to continue this path, or is it time to make changes? And the good thing about that is that you can have this information early on the process. You're shifting left the decisions about how you're doing with your budget, all right? And to do that, we need 3 data points. The planned value, which is the value or the amount that you have planned during your budgeting cycle. The AC, that we call actual cost. And the earned value, which is the value that you earned based on your progression. So planned value is done through the budgeting process. Hopefully you are aware of this and you're implementing this. The actual cost is pretty much what we do on our day-to-day basis, you know, and there are many nice and beautiful technologies coming out there. There are a lot of people basing their actual cost on tags, on other resources, but there are new technologies coming out there that is basing that in attributes. ITAM is coming to place as well to add more metadata to this. So it's really great to see many technologies. Most of them are being presented here in this Congress. And the earned value is the calculation, which I'm going to show right now. CPI stands for earned value divided by actual cost. And what is earned value? It's planned cost times percentage of your unit economics. Do you see how things are coming together? Do you see how the aspects of the quantified business value is coming to play? The earned value is nothing more, nothing less than the portion of the budget that you plan for that period compared to the amount of value that you get from that same period. Okay, let's now, hopefully you're with me, okay? I'm going step by step in the story, talk about the CPI generated a little bit of anxiety on you because you would really want to see how it looks like. Now I said that it comes from project management, showed you how it calculated, and now the formula, and now I will try to give you a couple of examples. But before the examples, I want to discuss a little bit about value, how I interpret value. So what is value? To me, value is a representation of the business desired outcome. In the past, I used to work in an online marketplace, and for that business, the outcome that they were expecting was number of orders. How many orders do we have in this day, in this month, in this quarter? This is the business outcome that we were expecting. Maybe other businesses, it's not number of orders. Maybe it's number of requests, number of travels, or number of whatever you come up with in your mind. So it's something that's really unique to your business, unique to your team, unique to your product. Do you know what I mean? This is something that will require an internal analysis so that you can come up with, okay, let me stop and say, what is the desired outcome? I'm working on a company right now where we have an infrastructure, and there are so many layers on top of this structure until we get to the final product that I cannot say that my value is simply the revenue divided by the cost or something, because it's too far. It doesn't necessarily represent. This is not what the underlying system customers are expecting. So this is something that everybody internally needs to make this analysis and determine what is the business desired outcome. And how do we express the value? Unit economics. Unit economics is an expression of value in monetary terms. So when you say that you are expending X dollars per order, this is how much I am willing to pay for that number of orders. Some say that it's a efficiency number, but it can be an efficiency number. But when you think beforehand, it's just like, okay, for this number of orders, I am willing to pay this amount of cents of for this amount of orders. And sorry for taking the order as an example, but I think it's simple because everybody here does Amazon or companies or do shopping online. So number of cents per order is really the expression of what that business is looking for. So how to connect this to the planning and budgeting cycles? Unit economics needs to be part of the budgeting and the planning process. Let me give you an example how it looks like. Hopefully everybody can see. It's a simple spreadsheet. Columns, you have the months of the year. And suppose that your cloud cost is 100. 100 what? Dollars? No, probably 100 bars of gold, probably. But let's say, just for simplification, you're spending 100 units of monetary units for something. every month, just to make the calculation simple. What I am proposing is that during the planning cycle that for this situation, and normally on the business, happened on the prior year, maybe you started in August, September, or maybe July. But in that period, instead of just estimating how much you're going to be spending on cloud, you also estimate what you expect of value. In my old example of orders, I expect to have 200 orders per month. Simplification, okay? I know that there may have seasonality, yada, yada, but 200. So what will be your expected unit economics? 0.5. So with this in hand, you have budget, you have value, and you have your expected unit economics. You can break this down in many levels as you can, and you see efficient. You do this for the entire organization, you do this for team by team, you do this by organization, you do this by product, you can do this by feature, whatever breakdown you have on your company and you feel is right to break it down, okay? Then you set up, what is that? Even from a product perspective, you can see what is the value that each product wants and put in here, for example, a microservice that is responsible to generate orders, maybe that one is the order, but the other that is responsible to do the checkout, maybe you want to make their cost by checkout items, all right? So you define what is the value for each one of the areas. And then you have the expected business unit economics. So again, the unit economics is how much you are willing to pay for the expected value or business outcome. That's the catch, how much you're willing to pay. Now you maybe start grasping, right? If I'm willing to pay this much and I'm paying less and getting more, am I having value? Probably yet, right? But if I am spending less, but I am getting less value, in which degree is acceptable? That's what the complexities and the beauty of this technique that it tries to understand and to respond. So let's determine that. How do we get there? 3 steps. First, get your actual, determine your actual unit economics of the period, then your planned unit economics, and then multiply by the percentage by the budget amount for the same period to obtain the earned value. Let me give you an example here. Sorry for those that are on the back. You can take a look at this on YouTube later to see the pictures, the one that are here on the front. A privilege. But I put here the number of months in a column and the budget. That was that same one, 100, okay? And then I put here on the graph, the second column is just a cumulative number of the budget in that period. Then you have a straight line. It could be another shape because of your seasonality, but for the sake of an example, this is what it is here, okay? Then you make the calculation of your percent complete. What is that? The unit economics that you have defined on your budgeting period, all right, divided by the much that you do when you're measuring, you're taking the measure. So how much you expected for the month, let's say in this one on the month of May, and how much you really did on the month of May. Divide one by the other, you have a percentage. This percentage is above 100% because I'm getting more than I was expecting. And if I do cumulative, the red one is the representation of the cumulative way of the of the planned value. Now, suppose that I have an actuals that goes like this. okay? The yellow line doesn't look to the numbers because the shape of the curve shows you that because the yellow line is below the blue one means that you are spending less than your budget, right? Do you agree? Are you with me? Yeah, not so to see if you're with me. Yeah, okay, good. Now look at this. Our CPI here is 1.81, and the cost variance is not necessarily how much you save from the budget, but the much comparing to what you earned. Because for that amount of cloud cost, you obtained more value than you were expecting. This is the earned value. This is how much you earned. Not only a comparison between actuals and budget, but the value of, or the amount that you calculated for the value that you were expecting. But I think that the second scenario is more interesting. Suppose that we have the same thing that we had before, but the percent complete is different. All right, they are running below 100%. So when I draw the lines here, the actuals and the blue line, which is the planned value, is exactly the same. The budget amount is exactly the same. You would say that, what? We are under or over budget? Can I hear? Under. Will your boss be happy with you? Absolutely. You're spending less than what you committed, right? But what about the value? I am delivering less than I was expecting. So actually, I am not under budget. I am delivering less for the amount that I have committed for that same time. Someone may say, you're not being efficient. Okay, you can take that. But the fact is, the cloud cost is not delivering the much that it was expected. What do you need to do? It's a clear sign that we need to take corrective actions. This is a real-world example. One of the companies that I worked, I built a report very similar to any report that you can see out there, budget against actuals and cost per cloud and so on and so forth. But I put there on the middle one big box indicating what was our CPI, all right? In that moment, we were comparing using number of orders, which is the example that I'm constantly using, to determine the value. And in this situation, we were slightly close to what was expected for that same period, all right? So this is an example. It's a real report. I need to put some boxes in there because what is really matters is how this should be showed to the management. This very report I was sending to the directors and to the VP of infrastructure. Okay, so the key takeaways, I'm getting to the end of this presentation, and then I will open for questions. So build a sound budget plan that contains how much you're spending, you expect to spend, but also the value that you're looking for. Understand your unit economics. Call a workshop, meetings, whatever you need to do in order to determine what is the value that you're expecting from your cloud expense. Then understand how CPI works. I will show you in a moment a couple of materials that you can use to go deeper on how to calculate this, but basically it is what I showed here on this presentation. And the earned value is a snapshot, all right? Which means it's a measure on the time, just like inflation, temperature, whatever, it's a moment in time that you take a measurement. It's not a condemnation, all right? It's a moment in time that you take a measurement and it gives you enough information for you to take action. So, in conclusion, the cost performance indicator helps leaders assess whether their cloud spending aligns with the value delivery. It helps leaders compare areas with the other areas, compare if their feature is delivering the value expected, and so on and so forth. And it includes in just one index if we are delivering the business value and if we are adhering to the budget that now includes value in it. Message for the leadership. Demand from the FinOps team the production of the CPI. The FinOps teams can produce the CPI, and flow that on the existing reports, at least this is my recommendation, to your leadership, CEO, CTO, CFO, senior leaders in general, and why not to the product managers. I just want to highlight that this is a screenshot. I am honored to announce that this technique has been accepted by the FinOps Foundation as one of the recommended KPIs. So if you search for a KPI page on the foundation, you will search the description on how to calculate that. And this is, something that makes me very happy. Hopefully all of you will be able to go there and take a look and take advantage of this. What's next? Explore FinOps EVM for forecasting. I didn't present in here, but you can also forecast using CPI. If you're a little bit into math, you probably already figured that out, but this is something that also needs to have some considerations. Shift from cost saving to value earned. I dream with the day where this community will be discussing value, and concepts of value are crystal clear. We could come to a conference like this, and you ask to this guy here, oh, what is your CPI? Oh, my CPI currently is 1.0. Okay, good. And yours? 0.75. Okay. Everybody kind of have the same idea if you're delivering value and in what degree. Intentionally discuss about unit economics. You see that this is the heart of the technique. And last, community feedback. Let's engage, start the conversation, share our experiences, make questions on how to progress in the use of this technique. My final message is, it is time to shift from cost savings to business value. The first matters, but our goal is the latter. Thank you very much.
So I have for you, this is Jonathan in the very back of the room. I have bad news, then good news, then good news, then bad news. To start, I'm trapped in the back of the room, which is the bad news. The good news is that means the room was full. Other good news, I have a microphone that I can throw at your heads for Q&A. It's called a catch box. It is soft and does not hurt. And the last piece of bad news is I don't play sports. So whoever goes first, be ready to catch. Hands in the air, and I will get this tossed over the wall. Who has the first question?
Any questions, anyone?
Yeah, ready? You can hold it right up to your face, they'll adjust the volume.
First of all, amazing presentation. I think I can speak for everyone that a lot of value, you have provided us a lot of value.
Thank you so much.
So, one question. I was thinking, sometimes it can be difficult if the business is not engaged in FinOps yet. I was thinking, instead of using a unit economic KPI based on business, we could also apply this technique to a unit economics KPI for cost optimization, for example. If we think on the unit price per virtual core in a cloud, and you do this, you could also measure the earned value of a FinOps team, for example? Have you thought about this kind of?
You know, your idea is pretty much aligned with what I've been thinking for a long time. For organizations where the infrastructure is very far from the end where the revenue is done, how to demonstrate value, all right? Especially on companies that are doing lift and shift or moving to the cloud. How do you say that the increase of expand on cloud is paying the value that you had before? And maybe one question, maybe one answer could be this. In the past, I was paying, although I was paying less, I was paying this much per core, but now I have much more cores and I'm paying less. So I am adding to the company much more compute power than I had before. So this is the value, all right? Of course, you will need to tell the story to the one that you're selling this and see if they agree or not. But that could be one path, all right? I didn't try that, but that's something I've been thinking as well, and probably going to be trying that and see if it works or not on my organization, where the underlying infrastructure is very far from the units that makes the revenue.
In essence, I think you could summarize it as do more with less or do more with the same, no? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just throw the ball. I mean, the code, the cube.
Amazing presentation, really, like so much value.
Thank you.
So thank you. Do you think the current tools and technologies in FinOps allow you to see value in unit economics in the cloud?
Tough question. I think that there are two main factors that influences in this. First, your ability during the budgeting cycle to determine the plan amount per period and the expected value by period. That would be one thing. The second thing is how accurate are you able to determine your actuals, right? So does people agree with allocation keys? Are there other ways for you to calculate this actual based on usage? Is there a more scientific way for us to do that easier than using tags, for example? So those are the two main aspects, in my opinion, that may be going to be a barrier to implement this. Now, as long as you have these three data points that I mentioned, the actual cost, the planned value, and the earned value calculated based on unit economics, you are able to do CPI today. All right, so that's what I would say.
Thank you.
While they're shooting there, the second QR code is a link to my blog post where I did an extensive paper about this earned value. So if you want to go there and check it out, it has on the FinOps site a summary, but in this one has the complete paper. 15 minutes of reading. So if you're problem to sleep, that's going to be a very good option for you.
Who doesn't
Either
fall
sleep or
asleep to
nightmares.
FinOps?
Muito obrigada. What kind of FAQs or pushbacks do you get from executives or product owners when you talk to them about CPI?
All right, so let me compare with the best case scenario. As I said, I was driving this presentation to leadership. In my opinion, humble opinion, the leadership are the ones that should drive the value and determine what is the value based on their vision to the organization, all right? This is the dream place, and then we, FinOps people, will figure out how to quantify that. Now, you want to sell the idea of CPI to them, all right? So I think that the first thing that you could do is to show them that you start with the simple budget against actuals, all right? Then you do your own job. Actually, this is what I do. My strategy is when I try to convince someone, I don't expect someone to tell me what is the index. I just come up with something that I think that it makes sense, and I just throw on the report and just see what happens. Just like throwing a bomb, and just see what happens. This is how I do. And then I ask them, wait, what is this number here? And then, oh, this is how best you're doing. So if it's above 1, you're doing good. If you're doing bad, you're doing less. Oh, and then I show, his organization broken down, and the ones that are below 1 are red, and the ones that are above 1 are green. And then, this area is good, this area is bad. It seems that leadership is very, I wouldn't say dumb, but they like to see colors, green and red. Green and red. Oh, green, good, bad. Why is this bad? And then I ask, and then I ask feedback, and they come back. So how do you calculate that? So maybe you could use that other thing and say, okay, that's fine. I will do that next month. I'll give that to you. So it's a kind of psychology mixed with you trying to insert some things and showing to them that value of the earned value kind of thing. So what will he or she will get out of you informing that number? I think that this is the best way that I would do that.
We still have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Perfect throw.
When you agree to some kind of business value with the team, how do you gather this information at the end? What do you think is the best tool to gather this information? Because I can imagine that sometimes it's not so easy as to download from the dashboard. What's your
Excellent question. The best way to do that is that you are in the meeting where this decision is made, so that you can do this very question. Okay, I like this value. This value is like, how can I obtain that? Right? And then they say, oh, you need to put the finger, no, sorry, it's not a good one. And then you continue the negotiation until you get something that say, oh, okay, maybe if I could, that happens to me once time. They said, okay, I will put another meter on Grafana so I can start capturing this metric, and then I can capture this number for the calculation and say, okay, that's a good thing. Let's call the product manager to prioritize this feature. They added that on the monitoring, and then the number was done. All right, so I think that the best answer for your question is be part of the decision making on to decide what the business value going to be. Not that you not that you care about what is the business value. It's just for you to be sure that you have means to quantify that.
Any burning questions? One more? Please join me in a colossal round of applause for Anderson.
Thank you. It was really great. Appreciate it.
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I enjoy sharing all of these amazing FinOps stories, best practices, and expertise. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and leave comments and questions for our speakers. Check out more FinOps X content on our YouTube channel. We appreciate the support.